Hello and welcome back to Sprite Guard Plays HyperRogue. We are on our way into what looks to be shaping up to be a Yender quest. We are nearly there. We just need 4 more garnets from the Living Fjord. We have been exploring the new lands available to us, and we have conquered all of them, which I think is pretty cool. I was really unsure about how much success we were actually going to have. I had a lot of difficulty with these lands when I was just starting to get used to them and trying to figure out how I was going to organize this episode. So what we want to do is probably find our way to a fjord and then try and find our way from there into a crossroads, a proper crossroads. Clearing out the graveyard is also something that we will need to do. Though I actually, I have been watching some more of Vipul's speedruns, and so I do want dead orbs for a different reason, and so we will eventually want to get that. But I actually want to try and get an Orb of Yendor the way that Vipul has done it, which is pretty interesting, and actually may not be possible anymore in this version. I'm not sure. I will have to figure it out. And I think, actually no, it should be possible, and what we need to do is actually set to sea. And so I'm going to try and find my way actually now to, let's see, probably want to find our way to something like this. Yes, this is very nearly what we want, but not quite. There we go. And there we go. So, let's see. These boats are stranded. We can't actually use them unless we get an orb of water, which is not immediately available to us. There's one in here if a troll comes along, but it doesn't actually look that likely that a troll will come along. We want to get out of here into the open ocean. And it's just not looking like that's in the cards for us. So probably what we want to do is find our way to a crossroads and then to an ocean from there. So how are we going to do that? Here actually is an orb of water, but now we have no boat. And so that is going to run dry probably before we're able to find a boat, unfortunately. So, we are going to probably head out into this mirrored land, see what we can find. See if we can find, let's see, probably, well, I don't actually want to gather any more treasures. I was thinking of kind of a clever way that I could explore the mirrored land a little bit, but it looks like that's probably not actually what I want to do. And so what I think I do want to do is kind of try and just keep the Living Fjord barely visible. And there we found a crossroads, and we've actually found a couple of crossroads, and so we are going to head into it. So the next thing we're looking for is a beach. And we're going to head out onto the ocean in search of Relia, which is now only accessible via the ocean until you have gotten 10 treasures from it. And so we want to get 10 treasures from there so that it will spawn in the crossroads. And the reason for that is that we want to use a tentacle to actually mark our path, and we actually did not get the one last garnet that we needed, or garnet. We need one more, and we did not pick it up, so that is something else that we will have to do. So let's wait for the tide to go back out, and while we're here, we may as well pick up some ambers. That's a way that we can, at the very least, fill out the requirements for the Yendor quest. We can gather up 10 of these, and that will count as our 9th type. So there's 1, 2, there's our 10th. So that should actually be more than enough. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, we have 10 gems in 9 types. So we are on our way to a Yender quest, but we are going to take a detour on the high seas. And so our adventure continues. Now, something we need to watch out for is living fjords are very dangerous, because if a water elemental starts chasing us, we will be in a lot of trouble. And so I actually want to check from as very far away as possible, and that is a living fjord, and so we're going to try and avoid it. So we now need to find another beach and go up along it and hope that it is a Relia. But we don't actually know. It could be a crossroads. I don't actually know everything it could be. I don't know what exactly is possible from the open ocean. Let's see, 14, Albatross, 13, 14, 14, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, let's see, 7, 6, 5. Ah, there we go, it's a desert. That's not very useful. So now we are going to be looking for a boat. And I don't see any. Usually they are pretty common. There we go, there's plenty of them. And we're actually getting a little bit reckless with combat. We need to get these guys lined up. There we go, and here comes the tide, just in time, just as we're kind of getting our combat cleaned up, and away we go. And once again, kind of need to be cognizant of the fact that we do have to pay attention to combat. It is something that will always be a struggle for me, and I think is a big part of why the zebra is so difficult for me, is because it's an area where you really have to be proactive about combat to a degree that I am not at all accustomed to. So let's see, we've got some living fjords. Here's another intertidals. Ah, no, that's a whirlpool. Let's see, what's this? This is another whirlpool. This looks right. Yes, this is in fact an intertidal zone, and we can actually wait for the tide to start going out, or in rather, and just follow it in. And that way we won't have to spend as much time looking for a boat. Though it's starting to get actually quite a ways ahead of us. Ah, and here is Relia. So let us make our way in. So now we are going to gather up 10 treasures. It may be worthwhile to get grimoires while we are here. They won't serve an immediate need, but if we end up on a Hyperstone quest, it will be useful to have them. Because of their ability to burn down, both their ability to burn down the vineyard and their ability to kill rock snakes. So that is something that we may want, but for now we're just going to try and gather up the statues that we need in order to get Relia to spawn in the crossroads. And then we will decide what to do from there. So let's see, that's 8. We need 2 more. Let's see, we can try and get this one by fighting this ivy, but it's pretty risky, especially when you get 2 branches right next to each other like that. That's really not something you want to mess around with, and so probably we just want to head in another direction. And here comes a tentacle that is going to, again, kind of dictate where we're able to go, dictate our options, and we're going to let it dictate our options. We're going to basically take one of the many new directions available to us, because we have so many more than we normally would. So, now, can we spawn crossroads? That is something that I'm not actually really clear on. I don't know if we can get to a crossroads from Relia, now that we have 10 statues of Cthulhu, or if we still actually need to go out into the ocean. And then, well, it looks like, I mean, we are passing other kinds of land. Ah, here we go. this is the Crossroads Type 3. And so this is based on the same pattern as the elemental planes. And so you can see it's this crisscross checkerboarding pattern that is actually repeated in quite a lot of places. It looks like we can just kind of follow this Great Wall along and see quite a few more of these. And I think if we head out this way, yeah, it looks like the 90-degree turns are actually going to move along an equidistant curve. And so, or possibly a horocycle, no, I think a horocycle is a bit tighter than that. I'm really not sure. But I guess the point is that it's going to serve the purpose of a line. Yeah, no, I think horocycles always curve toward the player, so there's clearly a line that it's paralleling, and actually that line is fairly close to it because we didn't have to go very far for it to reverse direction. And so the 90-degree turns at that distance are forming an equidistant curve along some other line that does not fit with the grid. Which I think is pretty cool. It's a little bit abstract of a thing to call cool, but I think it's kind of cool anyway. So we are just gathering up some demon daisies to move us along the Yender quest. And let's see, because we have a crossroads here, I actually want to kind of move over this way and see if we can get into it. We have quite a lot of combat coming up here. I don't know if we're going to be able to... Okay, we got a level up, so that will make things a little bit easier, but we have greater demons coming toward us already. Despite leveling up. So, until we level up again, probably just going to have to run away. Which is fine, we're used to that. But, now we're getting kind of pinched between a couple of them, and so now we're actually pretty eager to level up. Just so that we can get through them, and we may have to abandon this crossroads. I remember reading an article or a discussion about the lakes of sulfur and how big they can be, and apparently they were nerfed because, or they were discussing nerfing them because they can be very large and can actually take a very long time to travel around. So now we are on the lookout for a new crossroads now that we have lost track of that one, and we are spawning Orbs of Yendor. But we need a Relia in a crossroads before we can actually do that. Let's see, there's a Relia, but we need the crossroads as well, because we need the crossroads to spawn the Orb of Yendor, and then we need probably a hive to actually go find it, and then we need a Relia where we can get a tentacle. And another thing you can do is chop an ivy down to just 2 branches, and then it will move at the same speed as a tentacle, and will basically serve the same purpose. So that's another option available to us, but first we have to find a crossroads. We really can't do anything until then. There we go. I think they're always just a little bit less common than it feels like they should be. And so I just always get a little bit perturbed by that, but I think it is perfectly normal. Now let's see. I think I may want to get pretty soon an Orb of Safety, because I actually do want to keep these episodes a little bit on the shorter side. I know the last one was about half an hour, but I've been actually kind of running out of time during my editing sessions. And so I don't actually want to make this too long of an episode. And we've accomplished quite a lot. We have unlocked Relia in the crossroads, which I believe we even saw it there briefly, went past it. We have gone out on the ocean and come back. We have unlocked our orbs of Yendor, so we are ready to start on a Yendor quest. And I think that is a really good place to leave off. Now, we have an orb of Yendor here. Let's see, where is it wanting us to go? Let's see. It looks like into the Living Fjord, which is not a place where we can navigate with any kind of ease. And so I think we're going to abandon that. Mirrored Land and the Hive are probably the places where we are most likely to be able to pull off this trick. And we may actually want dead orbs just so that we can a little bit more easily manipulate what orbs we get. I talked about it a little bit in the previous series, but basically you can use dead orbs to basically explore a very small area and find, an area that is has a very narrow diameter, but has a lot of stuff in it. And so you can kind of almost manipulate what orbs you have together just by searching the space really thoroughly. And you can usually find the orbs that you need. And of course, the further out you go, the more area there will be for you to search. So I am going to kind of check the time as we go. Yeah, I think 17 minutes is a pretty good time. It looks like we have a Relia available to us. When we come back, we may move alongside the edge of that. Though we may actually, I think what we may want to do is find a hive, move along its edge, find an orb of Yendor, and then start searching for a Relia, which is what Vipul did in the speedrun that I watched recently, which was, I think, like 7 minutes and change, and was a record for this version, but was not a record, not the world record, which Vipul holds at like 5 minutes and change. It's kind of insane, and I have watched it, and I still don't entirely understand what I was seeing. But we are not going to be doing that. We are not going to be rushing at all. We are going to be taking things as safely and easily as we can. Hopefully getting an Orb of Yendor, and then maybe working our way toward Hyperstones. We have a lot of the stuff that I'm really worried about taken care of. We have the Whirlpool that we still need to do, which is going to be very dangerous, but the Zebra was actually what I was most worried about. So that is all going to be options. So I hope that you will join me in the future, but until then, thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.